It's Friday, so you know what it means around here at Chicago Bears Central. That means it's Mailbag Day. But before we get into that mailbag, we're going to talk about it and ask the question, how good can Darnell Wright be for the Chicago Bears if they do decide to draft him? We're going to get into all that, plus the mailbag, right after this.
You are now tuned in to Chicago Bears Central, your number one place for all Chicago Bears news and content.
All right, Bears fans, welcome to another episode of Chicago Bears Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related. I'm the host here, Hayes. You can follow me right off the top at CEO Hayes, that's CEO Haize. You can follow the show at Chi Bears Central. Hope you know how to spell that if you're a Bears fan. But with that being said, let's go ahead and get into the content for today. So Bobby here had his mock draft, which C-Dubs is dropping today, so make sure you guys are tuned in to the channel this afternoon where C-Dubs mock draft will be dropping as well. But in Bobby's mock draft for the Chicago Bears, he had the Bears drafting Darnell Wright with the number 9 overall pick. Now, while the placement I may disagree with, I understand the talent, and it seems like people around the sports pundit world are starting to understand that as well. You're hearing more and more rumors. Darnell Wright is being linked to the Chicago Bears so much more. And what does that mean, right? Considering you don't have to draft him in the first round, or you could trade back to get him, and we heard the rumors about the Steelers, that leaves a lot of speculation to say that maybe he is a target for the Chicago Bears. And, you know, if that is the case, right, if the Bears are looking him, it may mean that they are willing to go defensive lineman early, right, because you have those. Tyree Wilson is still one that I am highly, highly interested in. But we also have some pretty damn good prospects for the defensive line further down the draft as well. You guys know I've been very vocal at saying, like, hey, there are a lot of really good trenches areas in this draft overall. So, but when you look at Darnell Wright and what he could end up being, how good can he be? And it really does seem like there are a lot of people who think this guy can be really, really good. And it seems like the more that people see of him, the more that they understand of him, and the fact that he already was guarding for a dual threat quarterback in Hendon Hooker, he understands how, you know, a quarterback who's trying to keep the play alive may move. So he's a 5-star recruit. He is, so he'd be definitely a blue chipper. He played as a true freshman. He had 7 total starts then, and in the sophomore he had 9 starts. And even though he was consistent in those first 2 areas, he came back and as a senior just showed everything that has him now shooting up NFL draft stock. So the question is, right? And let's even say this is Ryan Poles we're talking about. Could Ryan Poles get creative enough to use his second-round picks to move up later in the first round? Or, like we said, that's been speculated. Do the Bears end up trading back in a deal like with the Pittsburgh Steelers to potentially, at that point, go and get Darnell Wright? I'll tell you what, if they have Darnell Wright as high as some of these outlets are starting to rank him, trading back may make even more sense for the Chicago Bears than what we thought it was going to be before. So really it's going to look at, like, what does Ryan Poles prioritize, right? Which player does he think, or which, you know, line area does he think he can dress further down the draft and still get considerable talent? But Darnell Wright is shaping up to be somebody who is definitely going to be on the Bears board, it seems like. Now, we did hear the rumor yesterday that the Bears will not allow Jalen Carter to get past them at number 9. But that doesn't mean that if he's not there, it really opens up the world of possibilities for the Chicago Bears. And do not be surprised if Darnell Wright is a Chicago Bear when it's all said and done. But with that said, there are also some sleepers as far as specifically edge rushers in this draft. You can look at a guy like Kobe Wooden out of Auburn, a guy that you can definitely come in who can be a starter at the NFL level, that even if you do address that defensive line on the edge or the interior defensive line earlier in the draft, you can definitely get this guy as a sleeper who, if you believe in his talent, you can come in. Now, he may not be a day one starter, but he could be, or he could be somebody that you train up. Now, there's something to be said that do we not already have that, maybe in Dominique Robinson or Travis Gibson? But again, you're looking to add the most talent possible, especially in these sleeper areas. Isaiah McGuire out of Missouri, another edge rusher that they can go after, right? And we've talked about the sleepers on the offensive line, but there are a lot on that defensive line as well. Yaya Diaby out of Louisville is another one, right? So at the end of the day, the Bears have the opportunity to add tons of talent at positions of need all throughout this draft, not just at the top of the draft. So whatever the Bears end up doing, and if they do decide to get creative with that first-round pick, I understand some Bears fans and saying let's add as many blue chippers as we can, and that mindset is fair. But let's not overlook the fact that we can definitely still add tons of talent later in this draft as well. But enough of me talking. Let's go ahead and get into the voicemail bag for today. This one's from Grego.
What's up, Mr. Hayes? This is a call from your boy Grego, first-time caller, long-time viewer, my man. You, Bobby, C-Dub, and not Steve-O, Man, y'all doing this thing. I love Chicago Bears Central, bruh. I even got my wife watching it. She don't really like football like that, but I'm a long-time Bear fan. By the way, Hayes, auf Wiedersehen, my friend, or more importantly, Guten Abend, Guten Morgen, and Guten Tag. Yes, I spent some time in Germany too. But let me get to it. Man, I just want to let you know that y'all content is by far the best out there. I love y'all takes on stuff, man. Y'all hilarious, but y'all are so informative. As far as the Bears going with this number 9 pick, I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm a firm believer in hustle. And you know, when it's showtime, it's showtime. And I'm talking about as far as Jalen Carter. Jalen Carter, no doubt, generational talent, all that, got all the God-given talent. But you cannot tell me that no matter what, at the first opportunity for him to put up at the biggest point of his young career, he didn't show up. That's discerning for me. That is very discerning. I would take a less talented person, but with a drive. Now I'm gonna tell you, the guy Paris Johnson, that's what I'm putting my money on. Get that boy in here, and there's enough wide receiver talent later on down. There's enough edge rusher talent later on down. But you get that, that's the generational talent right there. Him and, I don't know too much about Broderick. I think you guys are talking about him. But I'm going to put my money on Paris Johnson. I believe that that's the key, because if we can give Justin Fields some time, Justin Fields, listen, I said this before to my boy, when they drafted Justin Fields, I said, potentially, this could be the next Mahomes, and I'm standing by that. And I'm not doing what Mahomes does. I'm talking about affecting the game, being a playmaker. Justin Fields just unveiled something last year that a lot of people didn't know. Let this boy's arm. He got a live arm, as they say. Justin Fields is a playmaker. And I say, before it's all said and done, if the Bears don't, excuse my language, fuck it up and do what they're supposed to do, but first and foremost, protecting them. The weapons, you don't realize that we have enough. Our receivers will be enough. But I don't give a damn how great your receivers are if the quarterback doesn't have time to throw.
First off, Grego, thank you for being a long-time listener. Thank you for leaving your first voice, man. Thank you for the kind words as we continue to build out this platform. Hearing from people like you that enjoy this and rock with us, it means the world, bro. And I speak for C-Dub, Bobby, Steve-O. I speak for the whole team. Big Kev, when he comes in here as well, we appreciate that wholeheartedly, and that is what we do this for, period. Now, as far as the Jalen Carter character issues, here's the thing that I'll say. Like, I can understand, like, as I said in yesterday's episode, I can really understand both sides of the fence. I can understand the people that say, hey, you need to trust in your ability. He's young. You know, that young people can be molded. I understand that. I understand the people that say, hey, we are so far away. We don't want to bring in a headache if we can avoid it. But what you said there's Paris Johnson is the key. Here's the thing. The conversation around Paris Johnson and the Bears has gotten kind of quiet, whereas it's now started going towards other players on both the offensive line and defensive line. I don't know if maybe that is Ryan Poles playing mind games, as we know, because, you know, he may be leaking things out to kind of maybe get people away from Paris Johnson and avoid anybody else trying to slide in there and maybe moving up. I don't know. Paris Johnson does seem like a great option for the Bears. And ultimately, we'll see where it all sits down. But, the Bears can do a lot worse than Paris Johnson. You need to protect your damn quarterback. You need to try to avoid from him getting sacked 60 times again. And because of that, that's why the offensive linemen and the communication around them exists with this Bears team. We need to shore up those trenches on both sides. I think shoring up the trenches helps Justin Fields and the offense on both sides, whether it is the defense, helping get the offense better field position. If it is the offensive line, helping to protect Justin Fields better and us to really grow in the passing game. Paris, you could do a lot worse than Paris Johnson. I like Paris Johnson. I like the intangibles. I like the tangibles. Is that even a word? Yeah, that's a word. I just like Paris Johnson overall. I like his tenacity. I like the way he goes after it. I like how versatile he is as well. And it really just, like you said, Paris Johnson is the key. And he could very well be. It remains to be seen, though, if he becomes a Chicago Bear. Now, let's get into this next voicemail. This one's from the 760.
Hey, what's going on? Hey, first and foremost, I want to say I appreciate what you gentlemen do. You keep me informed with information about the Bears all day, every day. I live in North Carolina right now currently because I'm based out here. And, just to hear all this good news from you guys, hey, that really brightens up my day most of the days. But I just had a couple things that I wanted to touch on real quick. I don't really have any questions, just have some thoughts that I wanted to get out there. First and foremost, I wanted to talk about the trade down possibilities with the Steelers. I think that would be a great move to trade down from number 9 to I think they're at number 17. What I feel like that can bring to us is first and foremost, we can go ahead and try and get back that second round draft pick that we gave him for Chase Claypool, and that way everybody can shut the hell up about fucking him failing and not working out and everything, because at least that way we can still get that pick back. And then that means we still got 2 picks in the top 50. You know what I'm saying? I think that would be a good move. Secondly, I wanted to touch on Jalen Carter real quick. So my thoughts about Jalen Carter is everybody's talking about they have questions about his character and his motor. All right, first and foremost, he's a child. All right, he's a child. Everybody made dumb mistakes when they were a kid. Also, to think about his motor. Now, you got to think about it. Nobody had these types of things until towards the end of the year. Not thinking about the fact that, maybe this incident also affected him mentally to where he was kind of like in that rut during those times, and that's why his motor didn't seem like it was the same. So, hey, football just ain't physical. It's also a mental game, too. You got to have your head right. If your head ain't right, you ain't going to play right. All right, so that's what I had to say about that. Even though I don't think we're going to get him no more because, hey, if we trade down, yeah, he's going to be gone by that point probably. So also, I'm a big fan of the monsters of the Midway. I want to see this defense thrive again. So me personally, I wouldn't be against his first 2 picks, again, being defense, going cornerback, because you got to shore up that secondary, and then also getting a defensive tackle if we don't get Yannick Ngakoue, you know what I'm saying? Because in my eyes, that will help Justin Fields and Luke Getsy, because then if we have a surefire defense that's going to stop the teams, hey, they can let that ball air out, you know what I'm saying? And then we'll really see how Justin Fields throw that ball, see him back when he's back on QB1, you know what I'm saying? And then also last thing I want to touch on, man, that one-liner you dropped about the areola, bro, that had me and my wife dying for hours, bro. Like, that was, yeah, there is something wrong with you, because that shit was hilarious, bro. But, hey, man, that's all I got. Hey, love talking to you guys. Keep doing what you're doing. Y'all doing a great job. Keep your head up, gentlemen.
All right, you talk about trading down with the Pittsburgh Steelers for number 17 and possibly getting our own second-round pick back. I think that would be a huge coup for the Chicago Bears. I think especially if you look at some of these guys later in the draft and the Bears just have them high on their board, that may make the most sense, because at that point you're almost getting another first-round pick back, so almost 2. So it really depends on how Ryan Poles evaluates this talent, how he wants to attack this talent, how he wants to go about it, because if he's going about it in a way where he wants to add the most high-level talent possible, I know that the talent at number 9, there's a little bit of separation there. But you can convince yourself that if you can get the number 17 pick, and then at that point you have 3 second-round picks and maybe even use a couple of those second-round picks to move up again, Ryan Poles is about to get to cooking. I really do think Ryan Poles is about to get to cooking. Now, the comments as far as Jalen Carter's motor. Now, here's the thing. His motor was questioned before this all happened. Now, I understand what you're saying of him being impacted by his mental of what was going on. That is very valid. But there have been questions around Jalen Carter's motor even in college when he was looked at as a star. Go back and look at it. It's gotten very much louder since. I don't take that away. It's gotten louder since then, but there's always been those little inklings and conversations around people close that those motor concerns with Jalen Carter have always been there. Now, as far as you loving the monsters of the Midway, I'm right there with you, bro. That is my version of the Chicago Bears. I feel like they're best when we're a defensive monster, and I want to see that again, but now we have a quarterback. We have a true franchise quarterback, so some of that has to adjust some. We've never really had that here in Chicago. So as that happens, I would love to have both. Can we have a top 10 defense and offense? I would love to see that happen. And then we're the monsters of the Midway in a completely different way than what we've ever been before. All right, let's get into this next voicemail. This one is from Mike.
Yo, Hayes, how you doing? It's Mike from Pennsylvania. As I said the first time I called, you make a lot of sense. Your arguments got sound judgment behind them. It's really good. I want to also thank you for bringing up. You were the first person that mentioned how the Steelers said they might want to trade up from 17 to 9. That was interesting to think about. I'm still on the Jackson train because, to me, he's the best wide receiver in this draft, and he can get open quickly, and Fields can get him the ball. And also because Foles and Cunningham are offensive linemen. We got Braxton in the 5th, and he looks like he's going to hold that slot down. I think these guys can get good offensive linemen later in the draft. I still want a center, still want a guard. And I'm being a total meatball, but I don't even think about defense. I mean, Poles will do what he does, and I'll be fine with it. I can't. I'm so offense deprived. We've been that way for too long, so I'm like, protect my guy, Justin. Peace. Anyway, bear down, brother. Peace.
Still on that Jackson Smith and Jigba train, huh? A lot of people are. And it's fair. He's a great talent. But like I said before, when you look at Ryan Poles, the fact that we can have we will have 2 first-round picks next year, there's that wide receiver class is even deeper. They're like Marvin Harrison Jr. to me. If it had to be between drafting Jackson now and getting Marvin Harrison Jr. next season after a Darnell Mooney or Chase Claypool goes, I'm going after Marvin Harrison Jr. Now, some could say, hey, let's try to do both, which is fair as well. But I understand the love of Jackson Smith and Jigba. I completely understand it. But it just doesn't seem likely with the makeup of this roster. Now, what you said as far as for a great offensive lineman, right? Like, I understand that. We need a really good offense. We need to protect our quarterback. I understand you wanting to see some offense. There are a lot of Bears fans that agree with that, whether they admit it or not. So you're not off bases with that at all, Mike. I just think at this point, protecting Justin Fields and getting those trenches, because this is a trenches-heavy draft, you try to take advantage of the talent pool. There are some offensive linemen and defensive linemen that are going to go late in the second round that would probably be first-round picks next year. And so because of that, you try to take advantage of that talent level, that talent pool now, and let it all else work out down the road, in my opinion. But thank you for that voicemail, Mike. All right, let's get into this last voicemail. This one is from Tom.
Hey, Hayes. It's Tom. I'm in Georgia, but born and raised, Chicago. Love my Bears. Couple questions and then a thought. I don't know if anybody's ever noticed of when they actually played Madden with a bunch of users, people try to get over on everybody. Pose is playing Madden with 0 users. He's making all the trades he wants. He's letting everything slide under the radar, and he's got his money for the next couple of years. So people need to actually be aware of what's really going on and how you GM an actual team. Question. It's a couple of good players in the next upcoming draft. So I feel like a lot of the players that, that we're not really looking at. I mean, I don't expect Carolina to be a top playoff ready team. So definitely expect them to have expect us to have a nice couple of, I would say maybe first top 5 pick, Raheem Sanders. I think we should take a look into him. That's the running back we would look for. I don't see Khalil Herbert getting another contract extension and all the other running backs we have as well. So I think between that and maybe the other offensive tackle from Penn State, what do you think about getting him as well too? Have that entire line solidified. We let Cody Whitehair go. We got a good center and still even getting a 3-headed or 2-headed monster backfield with whoever, if we do get a running back this year, Tyjae Spears. What do you think? Let me know. Like I said, love listening to y'all. Right out.
All right. And Tom, listen, Poles sliding under the radar? Absolutely. Ryan Poles is a master tactician. He just is. He is a tactician for sure. He is going after this in a way that I don't think we've ever had a GM to operate in the way that he did. So, yes, next draft is going to be super deep for the Bears with having multiple firsts. Now, the way that Ryan Poles is maneuvering this, I think he's done a masterful job at it. I think he's going to continue to do that. And I think when we walk away from this draft, we may have some questions during the draft. We may look at it and be like, did you really go there? Did you maybe reach on this guy here, right? Could you maybe have not moved this one? There are going to be questions coming out of it. But I think when it's all said and done, when we look at back at that a year, 2 years from now, look at that talent pool that he got, I think we're going to be pretty well impressed in it. At least maybe that's my trust in Ryan Poles. Maybe I'm having too much. Now, you said that Herbert may not get another contract with the Bears. That is a hot take if I've ever heard a hot take there, brother. Here's my thing on that. Is it possible? Yes. Ryan Poles may just be one of those GMs who just does not pay the running back. We may see the running back position replenished every 2 to 3 years. We may just see that in a meaningful way. It could be. There are other GMs who not necessarily running backs, but they always have their position that they are just not willing to pay for. And running back may be there. Now, you say get it to Jay Spears and then get another running back in next year's draft. That's not out of the realm of possibility. I would love Spears to come to this team, and I would love what that meant for the future of the running back position. Now, I do think Khalil Herbert is going to get another contract with the Bears. That's just my personal opinion. I don't see Khalil Herbert as being someone who, well, even David Montgomery didn't get the money that necessarily some of us were thinking he may try to get. So it just depends, right? And if Ryan Poles, he's always going to look forward. And if he looks forward and sees that he can get some damn good running back level talent with not paying as much for it, while, maybe paying more for wide receivers, paying more for offensive linemen, paying more for defensive linemen, that may be what he do. We may be in the spot where running back, as much as like monsters of the midway defense, Bears are always been best when they've had a great running back, but that's because we've never had a true great franchise quarterback. So that may come with sacrificing and always and having kind of a not turnstile. I think that has a negative connotation, but just never really paying unless we just get a superstar at running back. We may never pay big money for a running back as long as Ryan Poles is running this team and we have Justin Fields being that franchise quarterback. That's just something to think about. But that's it for today's episode of Chicago Bears Central. Thank you so much for everyone who left a voicemail. Make sure you guys are following the show at Chi Bears Central. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, ChicagoBearsCentral@gmail.com. And then lastly, if you want to leave a text message and or voicemail like you heard on today's episode, 773-242-9336. We are the number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related. And like I liked in every episode on, bear down, y'all. Peace.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.